Good afternoon, San Diego. You are listening to the Core Hour Live on ESPN 1700. You can listen to us live at thecorehourlive.com. We'll be streaming on Facebook here after we get through the first segment, so you can see Turhan's pretty face. No? Yeah? I'm not doubting it. Joining me today as my co-host, Turhan Coleman. How you doing, man?
Great. Couldn't be more excited about today's show. We got a great lineup. Two of my favorite ladies in real estate. We have Kate Wilson from Windermere Homes and Estates joining us. We also have Lorraine Santa Rosa from Agents for Veterans. Great topics today. We're going to talk and kick around some conversation about veteran benefits, not just in real estate. I understand we have a great, exciting call-in from Mark Gold.
Yeah, Mark will be joining us here shortly. Theme of the show today, VA benefits, PTSD, and building awareness. So great group of people to do that today. So I'm just here to facilitate, and you guys drop some knowledge on me. Mark, are you there?
I am. How you doing, guys?
Good, man. How you doing?
Excellent, thank you.
So Mark Gold, Navy vet, former mortgage broker or mortgage a lot of things. We'll talk about that later, too. Good friend and producer of the film titled Out of the Fight, Building Awareness Around PTSD. So kind of give us some backdrop of the why behind the movie.
Yeah, so, and again, thanks for having me on, guys.
You bet, bud.
This is a pretty devastating problem that we're really been facing. Everybody hears the number 22. That's the big catch number out there today. 22, active duty or military veterans are killing themselves every day because of PTSD. And PTSD is this phenomenon that's in the background that's not being treated the way that it needs to. So we kind of had a look at a script that was written by writer-director Steve Moon called Out of the Fight, and it really called to the carpet the problem that's existing out there. And again, it goes back to, our Veterans Administration is not set up to handle, this has been in the news for the last year or 2 years where the VA has just been an absolute disaster. And the support systems for the guys coming back is just not there. These guys are over there. For the last 14 years, they've been, in Iraq and Afghanistan, boots on the ground, fighting the fight, keeping us safe back here and defending our way of life. And when they come back from there, back home, there's no support for them. So what we wanted to do is really bring this to the forefront through media. So great script that Steve wrote. It's called Out of the Fight, and it deals with a hardened Marine sergeant that did 6 tours overseas, came back to his wife and 4-year-old daughter, and just was not able to adapt. And it kind of takes you through how trying to deal with those problems back here without those support systems. Takes them out of the fight. And our job and what our goal here is to help support organizations like Mission 22, which I think, Turhan, we were talking about that before.
Yeah.
That's one of the organizations that's out there, nonprofit organization. They're out there really putting the support systems in place to help these, soldiers and sailors and Marines when they come back to be able to kind of stay in the fight, is the best way to put it.
As you were sharing with us the title, Out of the Fight, I couldn't help but think, when these service members come home, for many of them, that's when the fight is just beginning. And, I think it's so good that we have organizations like 22 Kill or Mission 22 that are raising awareness. But, the conversation that we had a little earlier today I think we both agreed that we've got to get intentional and aggressive about spreading awareness and also just building resource for these veterans, because as you mentioned, the VA seems to not have the resources to meet the need at this point.
Exactly. Yeah. And back to the conversation earlier, when I got out, 20 some odd years ago, I was given an exit. I remember an exit orientation that said, if anything goes wrong, go to the VA. And then, and then what happens? Well, you come to find out all the resources that are there for you, but you have to really dig and look for them. They are there through various places, but most of the guys coming back, they don't know where to look. And again, it's the silent killer, right? The guys who are still active duty, they don't want to talk about it because then it's going to be perceived that they're weak or they're damaged and, could affect their careers if they're still staying in.
Yeah.
And the guys who got out, there's just no support systems in there for them to talk to. And that's kind of what we cover in the movie. There's and it's a total fictional film. And there's this one element to where, the main character comes back, gets into drinking excessively and, all the things that we already know about, and then joins a support group that he just kind of stumbles upon from another veteran. So it's, it's almost like word of mouth on how to, on how these guys have to find the help and support that they need. And, you got to look at the statistics, right? Since the war on terror started right after 9/11, we've had 6,000 combat troops killed in combat. There's over 100, and I think the number was somewhere about 115,000 since then in that same time frame that have died from suicide. I mean, it's a staggering number.
And Mark, would you mind? Can we talk a little bit about that number of days? You mentioned there was a certain number of days where somehow or another our government came up with some statistics surrounding how many days a service member can be forward deployed before the wheels begin to come off in terms of their ability to reacclimate.
Yeah, one of our good friends and actors who's in the film, his name's Mark Ryan. He's been the voice of the Transformers. He's on Black Sails. What most people don't know, he's actually British, and he's former British Army.
Okay.
At some of the higher levels, and we were talking about this about a month ago before he left on a trip back to Europe. And he said I think it was before Vietnam, the studies that they were doing was that combat soldiers, you can't leave them in a combat situation for more than 55 days, because if that's the point, you think about it in Vietnam when the guys were out in the jungle for God knows how long, they're in that combat environment for more than 55 days. That's when the switch gets turned off in the brain, and I think that's where the trouble starts to happen. So when you go back over the last 14 years of the wars that we've been fighting and the conflicts in the Middle East, guys are deploying for 100, 120, 130, 150 days.
Yeah.
So they're out there for too long without the breaks. I mean, going back to the camps in the middle of the desert, that's not getting them out of the environment. There's still things going on around them. So that 55 number is really a key number for keeping, I guess the best way to put it is keeping the mental health where it needs to be so that they can reacclimate back into the world.
Mark, Lorraine has a question for you.
Hi, Mark. Lorraine Santaros with Agents for Veterans. My question is, like you said, the VA is not able to help these men when they come back home. What is it specifically, do you think, if you can pinpoint one particular thing that the VA needs to do to better the situation?
Yeah, so, and again, I'm fortunate enough, I'm a service disabled veteran myself. Luckily, I haven't had to visit with the VA for any medical help. But what you're seeing is, especially for any mental health issues, just to get appointments to get into the VA, and depending on which part of the country you're in or which system you're in, it takes anywhere from half a year to, over a year to actually get an appointment to get in there. What kind of damage is happening in that waiting period to be able to go in? There's not really an urgent care system for them to be able to go in and get the help that they need right away.
Mark, real quick too, because you come from a business place of mortgages, selling notes, doing that aspect of it. How did that play into this? Where was that tipping point? Where did you see the need for this?
Yeah, so I think I'm undiagnosed ADHD.
No, you're diagnosed. You're good. That's stamped on it. You're good.
Yeah, as Anthony knows, I've been in the mortgage origination game since the mid-'90s. And then when the world blew up in 2008, I got into the distressed debt space. And at the same time, we operated a couple of private equity funds up here in Irvine, just up the road from you guys, where we were buying and selling all the distressed mortgages that the banks weren't able to handle and kind of work out in a timely manner. So being in the debt game, we partnered up with a couple of other companies. And I've actually been involved in film for probably about 5 years, although you'd never see anything about it. We were involved in financing some smaller films and TV projects up until 2015 when we decided to take a little bit more of an active role. So we actually, I executive produced my first feature film last year, which we just finished filming about 3-4 weeks ago. And that kind of got my creative passion going probably about a year ago to get more into the entertainment side of the business. It's always been my passion since I was in high school, actually. And then we just started, kind of actively looking for great projects. And then just out of nowhere, one of my associates, Ron Chevalier, brought me Steve's script, read it, fell in love with it, actually didn't like the way the book ended, which I'm not going to put any spoilers out there, but went back and forth a couple of times and decided it probably was the right way to end the movie or the story at the time, and decided, this had to be a story that had to be told. Again, being a guy that considers himself pretty fortunate to come back from 2 deployments to the Persian Gulf with my mind and body intact. Every day I see in the news about, another one of my brothers or sisters killing themselves because there's no support there. It literally breaks my heart. And I said, something has to be done, in a bigger way than is being done. Everybody, you see the fundraisers, you see this, you see that, you see people sharing the 22, but it really has to be done. And the best platform for helping really has to be mass media, which is going to be a film project like that. So again, it's a low budget film. We're going to make this movie for about $500,000. We put in the first $250,000, and I decided let's try a little bit of a different spin on this. So we're actually going down a crowdfunding campaign for a couple of reasons. One, crowdfunding is a big hot button right now. People are funding all kinds of crazy things on that. But I said, why don't we use that platform, get the population and our supporters involved? For as little as $15, people are now kind of emotionally and financially tied into the movie to where they're going to help spread the word and kind of help spread the cause, so to speak. So it's really working out great. I think it's going to be an amazing way to really just help kind of pre-program people to kind of get more involved in it. So that's kind of how it came to be like that.
So if somebody wants to get more involved, Mark, where would they go?
So I've got our production website is freshcats.com. That's a story for another time. FRESHCATS.com, and they can click on the Out of the Fight right on the homepage. Says Out of the Fight. Click on that, and again, you get involved from that. My contact information's on there. Call me, text me. We're local, and we love talking. We love talking about our passion.
You're not that fresh either, Mark. Don't try to play us at the website. Mr. Gold, we appreciate. Anybody else have any questions with Mark? Good?
No questions. I just want to thank you, Mark. I think it's a fantastic project. I could talk to you for the whole hour on this. Really important topic to raise awareness on. So I want to thank you for what you're doing. Good stuff.
Thanks for your service, Mark.
Thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark.
Here.
Take care of yourself, man. Let me know if you need anything. All right, bub.
Will do. Bye-bye.
All right. See you. Good, dude. I just thought it was interesting in terms of like Mark Gold, the gold watch, the doing notes and, you know what I'm saying? Like that guy to go to films in this, awesome. And I just didn't know this aspect of his life, and I've known him for a while, so that's good stuff.
Well, like you said, passion project, I mean, I think that we would all say that we're lucky enough to work in passion projects on the real estate side, but, that he found that within himself and kind of took a step away from real estate and trading and the finance world.
Because at some point that doesn't feel good, you know what I mean? I'm sure that, selling notes and all that kind of stuff is great, but, where his passion lied was definitely with this. So good stuff, Mark. Thank you for joining us. We're going to be back. You've been listening to the Core Hour Live on ESPN 1700. We'll be back. And we're back. You're listening to the Core Hour Live on ESPN 1700. Great first segment out of Mark Gold. Thank you for calling in, my man. Out of the Fight. What was the website again, T? If you
we have www.freshcatch.com. FRESHCATH.
Was it cat? Was it catch or cats? Oh, I thought he was like trying to call himself a fresh cat or something.
Mark's fishing, fresh catch.
All right, fair enough. So, Mark, shoot me a text if that's the wrong website for some reason. Maybe I was wrong. We'll go with I was wrong, T.